Have you ever wondered why certain ancient texts were banned from the Bible? What hidden truths are so powerful, so controversial, that religious authorities kept them locked away for centuries? Today, we're diving into one of the most suppressed and enigmatic books in history, the Book of Enoch. And we're doing it with insight from none other than Billy Carson, the founder of 4Biddenknowledge.
Strap in, because what you're about to hear challenges everything you thought you knew about angels, heaven, and humanity's divine origin. This isn't just another religious mystery. This is a spiritual revelation they didn't want you to see. The Book of Enoch was once revered by early Christian leaders, even quoted in the Book of Jude in the New Testament. So why was it removed? Because it didn't align with the narrative the church wanted to promote.
Enoch describes beings known as the Watchers, fallen angels who descended to Earth and mated with human women, creating a hybrid race called the Nephilim. This story directly challenges the sanitized, orderly account of creation presented in Genesis. It portrays a cosmic rebellion, a war in heaven, and a corruption of mankind's DNA that sounds more like science fiction than scripture. But what if it's not fiction? What if it's the hidden truth of our origins? Billy Carson has spoken in depth about this cover-up, explaining how removing Enoch kept us blind to our divine potential and cosmic history. The Book of Enoch's most controversial figures are the Watchers, angels sent to watch over mankind who ultimately defied divine orders. According to Billy Carson, these beings weren't simply rebellious angels. They were advanced extraterrestrials. That's right, forbidden knowledge connects the Watchers with ancient astronaut theory. These angels taught humans forbidden knowledge, weaponry, astrology, root cutting, and sorcery. Enoch's text makes it clear, these weren't myths. They were real beings who changed the course of human evolution. Carson argues that governments and religious institutions have long known about these connections, but suppressed them to control how we view ourselves. If we knew our ancestors were in contact with higher beings, would we still accept the limitations imposed on us by modern religion? Beyond cosmic rebellion, the Book of Enoch contains apocalyptic prophecies that could shake the foundations of modern theology. It speaks of heavenly realms, soul judgment, and a coming purification of Earth. These prophecies describe a time when hidden knowledge would resurface and humanity would awaken to its divine origins. Sound familiar? Billy Carson believes we are living in that time right now. He links Enoch's visions to ancient Sumerian texts, the Emerald Tablets, and even modern quantum science. These aren't just vague metaphors, they're detailed descriptions of multidimensional consciousness, sacred geometry, and cosmic timelines. If you ever felt like there's more to existence than what we're taught, Enoch's visions and Carson's interpretations may finally offer some answers. Why has this book been buried for so long? Simple: power. The Book of Enoch empowers the individual. It suggests that we are more than just sinners in need of saving. We are beings of divine origin, manipulated and misled by false authorities. Billy Carson argues that organized religion thrives on fear, guilt, and ignorance. By hiding Enoch, they've kept humanity spiritually small. Enoch doesn't tell you to bow down, it tells you to rise up. It reveals that salvation comes not from submission, but from awakening. And awakening is dangerous to those who want control. That's why this book was banned, ridiculed, and erased from mainstream doctrine. But now, it's making a comeback, and thanks to voices like 4Biddenknowledge, people are starting to ask the right questions. Billy Carson isn't just retelling ancient myths, he's decoding them. Through his work at 4Biddenknowledge, he's shining light on texts like Enoch and exposing the matrix of lies that has kept us spiritually asleep. Carson blends ancient wisdom with cutting-edge science, revealing that the Book of Enoch isn't just religious, it's metaphysical. It speaks to our soul's evolution, our connection to higher dimensions, and our ability to manifest reality. With over 1 million followers, Billy Carson is helping to resurrect the knowledge that was buried, on purpose. He calls it forbidden knowledge for a reason. And now you have the chance to reclaim it. The question is, are you ready? Who exactly was Enoch? The Bible briefly mentions him as a man who walked with God and was no more.
But the Book of Enoch gives us a different story, one where Enoch is taken up to heaven and shown the workings of the universe. Billy Carson goes further. He suggests Enoch was a time traveler or an interdimensional being. This isn't fantasy. Carson points to scientific theories around wormholes, time dilation, and higher dimensional access. Enoch describes celestial mechanics with shocking detail, stars as conscious entities, portals of time, and a divine calendar that controls cycles of existence. What if Enoch's journey to heaven was really a journey beyond time? What if his role was to document and preserve forbidden truths for a future age, our age? The Book of Enoch talks about the Nephilim, offspring of the Watchers and human women, described as giants who devoured humanity. But where are the bones? Where's the evidence? According to Billy Carson, it's been suppressed. All over the world, stories of giant beings echo through myth and legend, from the Anunnaki of Sumer to the Titans of Greece. Even ancient Native American lore speaks of red-haired giants. Carson claims many of these remains were discovered but quietly removed by institutions like the Smithsonian. Why? Because if humanity knew we once coexisted with hybrid beings created by celestial visitors, our understanding of biology, evolution, and religion would collapse overnight. Enoch's writings describe a divine calendar, different from the solar calendar we use today. It aligns with 364 days, not 365. According to Carson, this isn't just a mathematical discrepancy, it's a clue. The Enochian calendar was based on perfect celestial order and sacred geometry. By moving away from it, humanity was severed from the divine rhythm of the universe. Carson links this shift to societal confusion, unnatural aging, and even spiritual amnesia. Restoring the original calendar, he argues, could realign our consciousness with cosmic laws. In other words, the way we mark time may be blocking our ability to evolve. When Enoch speaks of heavenly realms, it's not the pearly gates we're used to hearing about. He describes layers of existence, each with their own rulers, energies, and frequencies. Billy Carson suggests these aren't mere metaphors, these are literal dimensions. Modern physics already discusses string theory and multiverses, so why is it so hard to believe ancient people were tapping into these truths? Carson teaches that we too can access these higher realms through consciousness, meditation, and sacred practices. Enoch's travels weren't just personal, they're a guidebook for us to follow. Why would the Church, especially powerful entities like the Vatican, hide a book like Enoch? Carson believes it comes down to control. The Vatican has one of the largest libraries in the world, much of it off-limits to the public. According to Carson, within those walls lie ancient texts, including copies of Enoch, that directly challenge official doctrine. If the masses knew about the cosmic origins of humanity, the divine feminine, and the truth about angels and ETs, the hierarchy would crumble. The Vatican, like many institutions, acts as a gatekeeper, not a guide to enlightenment. The Book of Enoch gives a chilling reason for the Great Flood. It wasn't just to cleanse sin. It was to wipe out the Nephilim. These beings were consuming everything in their path, threatening creation itself. Carson sees this as a reset button for Earth. Similar resets can be found in other traditions, Atlantis, Lemuria, and even modern doomsday prophecies. Carson believes these are not just stories, but cyclical events tied to cosmic alignments. The Book of Enoch was written as a warning, one we may need to heed again soon. Enoch claims the Watchers taught humanity root cutting and other forbidden sciences. Billy Carson interprets this as genetic engineering. Modern science now understands DNA manipulation, CRISPR, and synthetic biology. But what if the ancients knew it first? Carson suggests that the hybrid Nephilim were the result of extraterrestrial DNA tampering, something echoed in Sumerian tablets and Indian Vedic texts. He argues that today's genetic experiments mirror the sins of the Watchers and that history may be repeating itself. In traditional theology, angels are messengers of God, but Enoch paints them as powerful entities with technology, language, and knowledge. Carson flips the narrative. What we call angels may be advanced interdimensional beings or ancient astronauts.
Their wings could be energy fields. Their heaven may be a higher dimension. This isn't blasphemy, it's decoding symbolism. Enoch saw beings descending in fire, making deals, and building structures. Doesn't that sound more like science fiction than spirit myth? The Book of Enoch lists the names of 200 fallen watchers. Why name them? Carson says it's because each represents a frequency, a trait, or a domain of influence over human consciousness. These weren't just rebels, they were manipulators of reality. By understanding their identities, we reclaim power. Their names are sigils, clues to energy patterns that can either enslave or liberate. Carson sees these watchers as archetypes that still influence society through media, politics, and even AI. Let's talk plainly. Enoch was taken up to the heavens by a bright vehicle and shown the inner workings of the cosmos. That sounds a lot like a modern UFO abduction, doesn't it? Billy Carson openly connects Enoch's experience to ancient alien contact. The terminology may be different, but the pattern is the same. Enoch didn't just have a spiritual vision, he had a close encounter. Carson believes the angels were using spacecraft, and Enoch was chosen as a recorder of galactic truth. We are in the transition to the age of Aquarius, a time of awakening, science, and spiritual evolution. Carson aligns this with Enoch's prophecy that knowledge would return to Earth. What was hidden will be revealed. The Book of Enoch is surfacing again, not by accident, but by cosmic design. Carson urges us to read it not as a dusty relic, but as a living map. Its truths were buried for a time such as this. In the higher realms, Enoch describes councils and thrones. To Carson, this is reminiscent of a galactic federation, a governing body of advanced beings overseeing universal balance. This council judged the Watchers and ordained Enoch as a messenger. It's a concept echoed in many spiritual traditions. Carson suggests we are not alone, not only in space, but in responsibility. Humanity is being watched and mentored, not ruled. We must rise into cosmic citizenship. The language of the angels is another mystery tied to Enoch. Billy Carson believes that Enochian language holds vibrational codes capable of unlocking higher consciousness. These symbols and sounds aren't just words, they're frequencies. Just as sound can break glass or heal cells, these angelic codes could alter human DNA or open portals of understanding. Carson teaches that chanting, sound therapy, and frequency alignment all have roots in this ancient language. Carson often links Enoch to Thoth, the author of the Emerald Tablets. Are they the same soul in different ages? Both were scribes of divine knowledge, taken to other realms and returned to Earth with wisdom. Carson's research shows startling parallels. Both describe similar truths: multidimensionality, spiritual law, and cosmic cycles. The deeper you look, the more these ancient texts seem to tell one grand story across time. Enoch didn't die, he ascended. This is key. Carson interprets this as the ultimate message: you too can ascend. Through knowledge, frequency mastery, and inner alignment, you can transcend the limitations of flesh. This isn't metaphor, it's a literal process of light body activation. The Book of Enoch ends not in tragedy, but triumph. And Billy Carson believes that's the path we're all being called toward, if we're brave enough to walk it. The Book of Enoch tells us that the Watchers descended upon Mount Hermon and made a pact to defy divine law. Why there? Billy Carson points out that Mount Hermon sits directly on the 33rd degree latitude, linked to sacred geometry, Freemasonry, and ancient ley lines. Carson believes this was no coincidence. The pact wasn't just rebellion, it was a ritual. It marked a massive shift in spiritual energy on Earth. From that moment, humanity's trajectory changed. Technology was introduced, power structures were corrupted. Carson suggests modern global elites still operate under this ancient energy, tapping into the same knowledge the Watchers unleashed. When Enoch describes his ascension, he mentions moving through levels of heaven, each filled with stars, beings, and structures. To Billy Carson, this isn't just religious poetry, it's interstellar travel. Enoch speaks of fiery wheels, crystal domes, and loud thunders, phenomena eerily close to what's reported in modern UFO experiences.
Carson compares this to wormholes, energy fields, and celestial portals. Enoch wasn't dreaming. He was witnessing otherworldly systems, perhaps even other galaxies. His book is like an ancient astronaut's logbook, chronicling cosmic travels long before space telescopes existed. What if the stories of giants weren't confined to ancient myth? Billy Carson has explored newspaper clippings from the 1800s documenting massive skeletons found in burial mounds across North America.
The Book of Enoch claims the Nephilim once roamed the earth. Carson argues that these beings made it to the Americas, where indigenous peoples preserved oral histories of their reign. But here's the twist. Many of these skeletons were quickly seized and lost by institutions. Carson believes these finds are proof that Enoch's accounts were historically accurate, and someone is still working to hide that truth. Strangely, Enoch details the lunar cycle with mathematical precision. He describes the moon's movement through portals and the impact of lunar phases on Earth. Billy Carson connects this to the idea that the moon is an artificial construct, possibly a monitoring station. Enoch's knowledge of the moon's mechanics predates telescopes, which raises the question, how did he know? Carson suggests he was shown the secrets of our solar system by the same beings who engineered it.
The moon's role, then, isn't just cosmic. It's connected to human behavior, consciousness, and spiritual frequency. Many versions of the Book of Enoch were preserved in ancient languages like Ge'ez and Aramaic. Billy Carson argues that the Vatican had access to these texts long before the public ever heard of them. Translation teams, he says, uncovered truths that were too radical to share. Details about portals, sacred math, and ancient visitors didn't fit the sanitized narrative of salvation. Carson believes the Vatican holds unreleased chapters and commentaries that explain even more shocking revelations, ones that may link the origin of humanity to other worlds entirely. According to Enoch, the Watchers were bound in the earth for 70 generations. If that timeline is correct, Billy Carson warns we may be living in the era of their return. The increase in sightings, paranormal events, and spiritual awakenings could be signs that something ancient is reawakening. Carson connects this to biblical prophecy, ET disclosures, and global shifts in consciousness. He suggests that the veil is thinning, and as the old controllers return, humanity must rise in awareness to meet them, not with fear, but with wisdom. The Watchers gave humans access to hidden arts, metallurgy, makeup, astrology, herbalism, and enchantments. These might sound innocent today, but they were considered dangerous because they bypassed divine timing. Billy Carson sees this as symbolic of rapid technological advancement without spiritual balance. We have iPhones but lack inner peace. The same imbalance that doomed the Nephilim civilization may now threaten ours. Enoch's story is a warning, not to avoid knowledge, but to ground it in consciousness. Enoch describes a radiant city in the heavens, filled with light and energy. Could this be New Jerusalem, or something else entirely? Billy Carson compares it to a space station or interdimensional city built by advanced beings. It's not made of bricks, but of vibrational architecture. A city of light visible only to those with expanded perception. Carson theorizes that such a city may still exist, hovering beyond the veil, awaiting humanity's evolution to be perceived once more. The Book of Enoch outlines 10 symbolic weeks representing the spiritual evolution of humanity. Billy Carson reads this as a prophetic calendar that tracks human development, consciousness cycles tied to celestial mechanics. Each week marks an age of rising awareness, destruction, or rebirth. According to Carson, we're entering the final week, where truth is revealed and divine justice returns. It's not the end of the world, it's the end of ignorance, the beginning of something greater. In Enoch's writings, he speaks of portals through which the sun and moon pass. Billy Carson interprets these as actual stargates, wormholes used by higher beings to traverse dimensions. Ancient megalithic sites like Giza, Stonehenge, and Tiwanaku may be built on top of these portals. Carson believes our ancestors didn't worship the sun. They interacted with beings that used it as a gateway. And Enoch knew exactly where to find them.
Despite being quoted by Jude in the New Testament, most churches completely ignore the Book of Enoch. Billy Carson says it's because the book disrupts core dogmas, original sin, angelic obedience, and humanity's place in the cosmos. Enoch empowers the seeker to connect with divine truth without a middleman. That threatens religious control systems. If people woke up to their own divine intelligence, tides would dry up, pews would empty, and power would shift to the people. Carson didn't stumble into this information. He's been studying ancient texts, quantum physics, and metaphysics for decades. Through his platform, 4Biddenknowledge, he aims to awaken humanity by exposing the truths hidden in plain sight. The Book of Enoch is central to that mission. It's not just a curiosity, it's a blueprint for ascension. Carson teaches that once we reclaim these ancient truths, we unlock the dormant potential within each of us. Many scholars believe Enoch may be the same figure as Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom. Billy Carson supports this theory and points to the Emerald Tablets as spiritual twins to the Book of Enoch. Both describe cosmic journeys, sacred geometry, and resurrection through light. Enoch Thoth is not just a prophet, he's a template for higher consciousness. Carson suggests Egypt wasn't just a civilization, it was a frequency, and Enoch held the key to tuning into it. One of the most mysterious elements in Enoch is his use of sound and vibration to ascend. Carson aligns this with cymatics, the science of how sound creates matter. The right frequencies can unlock doors in the mind, body, and even time itself. Carson teaches that mantras, tones, and secret chants are not superstitions. They are tools. Tools the Watchers feared. Tools that modern systems have ridiculed. But now, people are rediscovering them. From drones to CRISPR to artificial intelligence, much of today's tech reflects the knowledge passed down by the Watchers.